Hello, everyone. Just to double check, because a few times that I've gone live, okay, people are saying hi. I think you can hear me this time. Hi, and welcome. So today we're going. Oh, for those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Nathan. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking, and today we're going to be looking into and using technologies that we've been intimidated by, which is why you'll notice down in the little ticker below us the registration link for this, where you can check in to make sure you get points for your guild, is hackp.ac/scary-tech, because I don't know about you, but some tech can be very scary. So I know for me personally, the thing that I'm most afraid of in technology is backend, because on basically every hackathon project I've ever been on, and every personal project, I've been able to find a simplified way of accessing like your traditional backend things, your databases, your cloud functions, your authentication, that sort of thing. And I haven't touched it all that much. So today I'm going to be working with some backend, but I'm curious, what are you guys scared of? What are your scary techs that you're going to be working with today or submitting for this challenge? If you could just list them in chat. Adam defending me in chat. Rico, you're perfectly fine. Ethan and Nathan are very similar names. Hi everyone in chat. I'm seeing all the highs. Hi Mr. Blahaj. Hi Jack. Hi Hannah. Hi Adam. Hi, Tiff. Adding has a very similar situation where they always work on front end. I don't know. On the one hand, I know that chances are this will go perfectly fine. But on the other hand, I'm like unreasonably scared that this will be like some difficult monstrosity that I'm going to be wrestling with for 2 hours. But I guess we'll see. So, as you guys saw there for a brief second while I got the music running, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we're going to be working with some Firebase backend today. Yeah, same here. Okay, so apparently, hi Gagan, apparently this is not super uncommon. A lot of people haven't really touched backend, have been mostly frontend. And I guess in my opinion that makes sense at a hackathon, especially the virtual ones. The things that have been the most forefront are how your app looks, how it feels in these demo videos, because you can't have the judge sit down and use it real time with you. You need to just show them a demo. So I've seen some really cool hacks that use things like Figma or Adobe XD to show off more the theoretical prototype, which is totally valid, but I've never worked with backend super a lot. Ooh, Internet Hippo is thinking about trying something in blockchain. Now that is a technology that is very intimidating, but it is slightly past the level of intimidating that I'm willing to work on today. So good luck with your blockchain project. Again, if you're just joining in, this is an event that you can get points for your guild by attending. So in the little ticker below me, there's a check-in link, hackp.ac/scary-tech. And if you go to that link, you can register and check in to get points for your guild for MLH and INIT. All tech is too scary for this shark. Mr. Bahaj, I feel you so much. And adding, yes, another Figma user right here. I definitely love Figma so much. Okay, with that, we're going to get into it. Like the previous project that I worked on live on stream, I'm going to be going off of a tutorial that I already have pulled up, because this is literally what I do at hackathons. If I want to work with something new, I will find a tutorial that I can go off of that'll walk me through it, because I find this a lot easier than just kind of like going from scratch. So I have two things open. This is the level of prep that I went through for this. I went to the Firebase docs, and I looked at what they did for Cloud Firestore, which that's where I'm going to be starting. I don't know where we're going to get in this, but I wanted to try working with their database first, and then if we have time, we might get into Cloud Functions. So I have their documentation for Cloud Firestore up, and then I have this tutorial right here, which is the JavaScript plus Firestore tutorial for 2020, and it's learn by example. So we're going to be trying to use this. I've looked through it, and it looks like a pretty good tutorial, and it covers a whole lot of everything that I would ever think that I'd need for Firestore, but at the same time, I'm not a backend person. So we're going to be going through this. This is just the table of contents. And then this is some of the stuff that I've had teammates tell me at hackathons of why we're using Firestore. But basically, the reason why we're using Firestore is because it's a very flexible and easy to use database for mobile, web, and server development. It's real time, and it has what I've heard is a very good API. So real time, it's flexible as a NoSQL database, And it's ironic because NoSQL apparently makes it really strong and powerful and able to do a whole lot of things, but I literally took a SQL database class, so I have no experience with this. It's scalable. Okay. So now we've gotten to the actual start of the scaley part, which is setting up Firebase or Firestore in a JavaScript project. And I am going to be doing this based on React, because that's what I use the most for my web development projects. I was thinking about possibly using this in Flutter, but then I realized that Google's APIs and Flutters are still kind of in a beta stage, and I didn't want to add that on top of everything else. So we're going to be building this in a React project. And with that in mind, I should just open up my IDE and start a React project. You'll see that this is another project I was working on. So we're going to do new window, and we're going to close out of that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up the file manager, and we're going to create a new folder for this. So in init, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it database tests, or I should really call it Firestore tests. And in here, we're going to open up this folder in VS Code. Ooh, Rico's been dabbling in Python this week. I really appreciate Python, and it was the first language that I ever learned, but I haven't ever learned any of the APIs, the frameworks that actually make it powerful and able to do things. So other than like PyAutoGUI, so if I ever want to do like some desktop automation at the simplest level, I really don't use Python all that much. So good luck, Rico. Okay. I'm going to do Control tilde to open up my terminal, and I'm going to do npm create React app. Oh, wasn't it? Or was it? I thought it was. This is where it shows that the last thing that I wrote was in Flutter. npm create React app. I literally Googled this beforehand. Okay. Create React app. Oh, npx. Oh, I'm stupid. npx. npx create React app, and it's just going to structure out, we need a name. Firestore test. And we're creating a new React app. React is probably bigger and heavier than we need to do something like this, but it's where I feel comfortable, it's where I feel safe. Y'all in chat, if you could let me know how the music is, because if you are here for my fun Telestration stream, you know that I've had difficulties with background music. If you could just let me know if the audio level is good for y'all, if you can still hear me, if you can hear the chill music, I'd appreciate it. Wholesome app. It's okay, perfect. Thank you. While this is loading for us, I don't know how long this is gonna... Oh, it looks like it's speeding up now. Okay. If anyone wants to say in chat their favorite part of INIT so far, I'd love to hear what you guys have been up to. Because I know that there's been a lot of fun streams, fun challenges, but I'd like to know your guys' favorite part. Oh. There we, oh. Okay, now it's installing the 10 template dependencies. We're getting there though. We have the scaffold set. Okay, perfect. Now we have this set up. I'm going to open up source and make sure that we have everything. We do. Okay, so now that I have what I'm going to be working with, we can go back to the tutorial. And okay, that is still running. Okay, create React app. We're good with that. Okay, so since we're going to be using the Firestore SDK for JavaScript, we're going to be covering Firestore within the context of a JavaScript project. Okay. So we're going to head to firebase.google.com and sign with our Google account, which I already have. I'm going to open up the console. And we're going to create a project. And we're going to call this Firestore Test because I'm so creative. Continue. And we're just going to use the default analytics account. I have set up Firebase projects before, but it's only been in the context of the stream that I did earlier in INIT, where I was trying to work with backend push notifications, and then also I've set up a couple projects for my teammates on my account because I had credits and they did not. Perfect, our project is ready. Okay, so we've added the name. Okay, so we're going to select the code button for web, and we're going to add a nickname, and this is going to be, let's call it Scary Tech, just to keep the theme. Also set up Firebase hosting. Oh, it'll be showing up, okay, it'll still be Firestore Test. So let's just, I thought that would be the name of the domain name. Okay, Firestore Test, register app. Okay, perfect. Now, we would do this if we were using just like normal HTML, CSS, but because we're using React, we're going to be a little bit spicier. So we're going to npm install Firebase. Perfect. Now with Firebase installed, it is just a matter of actually importing it. So because we're using client-side JS like React, we're going to be using this code right here. I'm assuming we'll actually need to actually use our real API keys, not the ones that are currently in here. Index.js. Nope. App.js. There we go. Right. Nope. I'm sure we're supposed to do this somewhere better. I'm sure we're supposed to. Wait, it said it. It said it in the tutorial. Wait. Okay. You want to put this in a dedicated file called firebase.js. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to create a dedicated file in source, new file, firebase.js. How do you learn React? I've been meaning to and don't know the best place to start. Blue Moon, that is an excellent question. I'll be honest, the way that I learned React was I was told by a teammate at a hackathon, hey, we're using React for this hackathon. And I went, okay, what's React? And I just kind of dove in head first. I personally would, I'm trying to think. The default React documentation isn't bad, but I was only able to get through it because I had the teammate helping me. If you could find something on Free Code Camp, which I'm sure there is, for React, I think that would always be a good place to start. This is kind of my go-to for tutorials. And then the second thing is, look into Material UI React. I'm going to drop this in chat. Here we go. It is a component framework for React that is extraordinarily useful. So if it is Material Design Reco, but it's through Material UI, which is the specific toolkit that is designed to be used in React, which makes it much, much nicer. I'm actually going to install this for use here. It's what I used to make everything look prettier, because that's one of the things that's the hardest to do. That really, once you understand state, like creating a mod, do they call them modules or do they call them widgets? Creating a component of some sort. They probably call them components. I haven't touched React in a while. Once you can create a component and you can deal with state and you can make it look pretty, I think that's all that you really need to deal with at a base level. Once you can do that, then you can get more complicated. But those are the three things that I think you really need as a front-end person working in React. Okay, so we have our Firebase.js. We've installed this. Okay, we need to copy all of this, which I'm assuming that we should put our actual API keys in it, because... Okay. It doesn't say. It just moves on. But I'm assuming... Well, at this level, does it tell us? No. Okay. We're going to install Fire... Okay, we aren't going to deal with hosting yet, because we don't need to. Okay. Project settings? Okay, perfect. No web API key for this project. Can't see the code screen. I believe I turned it off briefly, but is it not sharing it? Oh, haha, ha 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 ha. There you go. Good. Okay. Thank you, Rico. I was just going through some basics in Firebase. I was just clicking some buttons to finish up where we were at. It was just literally clicking next twice. And then I clicked we were on project overview before, and I went to here, project settings, because I'm looking for, I just pasted this in, and it has a variable called Firebase config that contains an API key, a domain, a database URL, a project ID. It contains all of these really random numbers that I am assuming we're meant to fill in for our own. I'm going to trust the tutorial, I'm going to keep going, and I'm sure they'll tell us to replace those later. Okay, Firestore collections and documents. I've heard of these, but I have no clue what they are. There are two key terms that are essential to understanding how to work with Firestore: documents and collections. So documents are individual pieces of data, similar to JavaScript objects. So they're key value pairs, which are referred to as fields. And they can be strings, numbers, booleans, objects, arrays, or even binary data. Because we know in this 2-hour time period, we're going to be working with raw binary. Okay. Sets of these documents, fun, are known as collections. Collections are very much like an array of objects. Within a collection, each document is linked to a given identifier. Okay, so a collection is an array, basically, a collection of documents that each have an ID. Okay. Managing our database with the Firebase console, or the Firestore console. Before we can actually start working with our database, we need to create it. Within our Firebase console, go to the Database tab. That's real-time Firestore database. And I'm assuming we click the big Create Database button, but I'm not going to make any assumptions. Okay, and create your Firestore database. Okay, create database. We're going to be in production mode. No, test mode, because I don't want to deal with permissions. That is another can of worms. Okay. We're going to be in US Central, enable. Ooh, okay. Fancy looking interface here. Okay. Once you've done that, we'll start in test mode, enable all reads and writes. We'll have open access to get and change data in our database. Yeah, we don't want to deal with authentication right now. That is another can of worms. After that, we will be taken to our database itself, where we can start creating collections and documents. Okay, the root of our database will be a series of collections, so let's make our first collection. We can hit start collection and give it an ID. Every collection is going to have an ID or a name. For our project, we're going to keep track of our users' favorite books. So we give the first collection an ID of books. I love that. Books. Next. Okay. Next, we'll add our first document with our newly created books collection. Documents are inside collections. Each document is going to have an ID as well, linking it to the collection in which it exists. Okay, in most cases, we're going to use an option to give it an automatically generated ID. So there's a button for auto ID. Okay. Okay. So we'll make a title field of type string, Great Gatsby. Okay, auto ID, field, title, type string, and their example was the Great. I don't like the Great Gatsby. We're gonna do Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And of course I spelled philosophers wrong. Philosopher's Stone. Ooh, we'll need to use double quotes for this. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, because that is a better book than the Great Gatsby. My language arts teacher's gonna start adding me here. Okay. We can hit the button auto ID, Great Gatsby. Okay. So once we hit save. Hey, there we go. Okay. So within our collection, which is books, we have this document with this ID. Okay. Mr. Blahaj is also a Potterhead, and I love it so much. Okay. Ooh, should I put those quotes there? Did they put quotes? Ooh, I don't think we needed those quotes, because if you notice it has now, like, 2 sets of quotes. So I'm going to remove the quotes, which kind of makes sense to me, because we already are giving it the type string there. And we're going to update. Okay, that looks better to me. We'll see if that breaks things in the future. But Firebase wouldn't add quotes unnecessarily. Okay, so we're going to get the data from the collection with a .get. Fun. To get access to Firestore, use all the methods it provides. We'll use firebase.firestore. This method needs to be executed every time we want to interact with our Firestore database. I'd recommend creating a dedicated variable to store a single reference. Okay. Okay. So firebase.firestore gives us access to all the methods. Okay. So we're gonna add this. And I'm gonna, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Blahaj. Internet Hippo, that is an amazing pun. And, mwah, so good. Thank you for blessing that into my life. Okay. In this cheat sheet, however, you know what? I'm going to do it the bad way that the cheat sheet's doing it, just to make sure that I don't mess anything up. We're going to go back and do it the right way later. Okay, in this cheat sheet, I'm going to stick to using the Firestore method each time to be as clear as possible. To reference a collection, we use the .collection method and provide a collection's ideas and... Oh, wait. So we're now getting into writing code, and we haven't actually authenticated correctly and properly. Because if you'll notice, our API key is random, which, unless they have weird magic that allows them to guess our API key, yeah, see, no web API key for this project. Oh. Oh. Okay, so I skipped a couple of steps because I didn't think we need it. Firebase, login. Firebase init. There we go, this is what we needed. We want Firestore and we want hosting. Actually, we don't need hosting, but we do want Firestore. We're going to use an existing project. Ooh. Error. Okay, we're going to try that again. We forgot to run Firebase init because I skipped it. Firestore. Use an existing project. Please work this time. Ooh hoo hoo. Harry Potter and the Order of the Blahaj. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Blahaj. Harry Potter and... What's the second one called? Oh no. What's the second Harry Potter book called? Someone's going to tell me in chat, but I think we could make a Blahaj series of Harry Potter books. And if they don't show up on AO3 by the end of this stream, I will be incredibly disappointed. Maybe not by the end of the stream. I think that might be a little bit much. But I think you could just do a find replace of all those nouns in Harry Potter and just replace them with Blahaj. Okay, we're going to try to continue doing this. Yes, we're ready to proceed. We want Firestore, and we're going to use an existing project. Failed. Firebase debug log. Okay. View. Firebase debug log. Is it here? No, there's no way, because it's not configured to debugging events. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Blahaj. Thank you, it's Chamber of Secrets. Or would it be Harry Potter and the Blahaj of Secrets? No, Chamber of Blahaj is better. Okay. Web. That does not help us. So we're gonna try Firebase login again. Yeah. Okay. Firebase init. I'm gonna move this out of SRC. It's just, yeah, we're just gonna move that out because it doesn't need to be in source. Internet Hippo is recommending a React course. I personally don't know of it, but Internet Hippo, thanks for the advice. I personally wouldn't recommend paying for a React course right off the bat because there are plenty of free ones. React is a prolific enough environment and like framework and all that that I just put my hair in the wrong direction. React is prolific enough that I don't think you'll need to pay for it. I think you could find quality free ones, but if you want to pay for something so you get it all at once, that sounds like a good suggestion. Okay, we're gonna try it with hosting this time. Okay, I'm gonna try restarting VS Code because legitimately when I googled how to view the log, it was basically like, hey, here's how you view it in the Firebase platform. And we haven't gotten to that point, which is the issue. Firebase init. Ka-chow, yes, we're ready to proceed. We want to use Firestore. We want to use an existing project, fail to list. Okay, well what if we say Firestore and create a new project? Okay. Let's try doing this. This isn't ideal because we already created one, but we're gonna call this Scary Tech. Error, failed to create project. Woohoo. Okay, well let's try running some PowerShell instead. So we're gonna go cd documents, cd cat. Perfect. Inside here, we're going to try doing Firebase init. Yes. Yeah, yes. Firestore, enter. Use an existing project, failed. Okay. Let's try doing PowerShell as an admin. try it this time. Check-in link, please. Check-in link is going along the bottom of the screen in the ticker. It is hackp.ac/scalewitech. Scaley with a W. I thought it was a funny joke until I've been saying it constantly on stream. Maybe it's still funny, but at the 15th time of me saying it, it's slightly less funny. Firebase login. Already logged in. Okay. Firebase init cannot list projects. Let's see what it's saying. I've recently had an issue with my new projects. That's not what I'm looking for. G2G breaks my heart. Thank you, Mr. Baj. What is G2G? Wait, I feel like I'm missing something here. I might just not recognize it phrased that way. I might know what it is. Firebase. Oh, got to go. Bye, Mr. Blahaj. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you, and have an amazing night. Okay. We're gonna try knitting again. Yes, just to see what exactly an error we're getting. Error, failed to list Firebase projects. We're gonna Google this. Okay. Firebase login re-auth. Okay. Waiting for authentication. So theoretically that link should have been opened, but I don't think it's going to because my computer does not like following links. So I'm going to try this. Nathan Dimmer. I'm going to allow Firebase CLI. Okay, login successful. I'm going to try this again. Firebase init. Yes. Firestore. Use an existing project. Hey, it worked this time. So now we can do Firestore test. Hey, initialization complete. Thank you, Tiff, for dropping that in chat. I appreciate it. Okay. So now that we've set that up, theoretically, if we go back to here, and we go here in settings, and we refresh, we should have an API key. No web API key for this project. Project settings. No API key. How to get Firebase API key. Okay. Firebase launch. No, that's not it. Firebase start. How to launch Firebase project. I skipped over like 2 steps in the instructions because I thought it was just for hosting, but it turned out that it wasn't Firebase deploy. We'll try this. Hey. Okay, now with that deployed, if we refresh this, will we have an API key? No. Okay, well, we're just gonna Google how to get Firebase config. Okay, go to project settings in your apps. Project settings, your app. Okay. Ah. Okay, there we go. We need to switch to config, and now we have what we need. There we go. So if we paste that there and then save, that should be our API key. Now let's go back to our tutorial where they're at. Okay, where we're pulling books. So const. So this is where I'm hesitating, because I'll be honest, for the life of me, I don't know how we make sure that this runs on page load for app.js. How to make a .js file run on page load React. They're doing project promises. That's not what we're looking for. How to make a JS file run. Let's just do run React. Let's see what it says there. Okay, 4 ways to add external JavaScript files in React. Oh, we can just import it. But that's... Oh, the script tag. Oh. All standard script attributes are supported. React helmet. Okay, we're gonna try this. I'm sure that, so if you have more React knowledge than me in this, let me know if there's a better way to do this, but I'm gonna blindly follow this tutorial here, because again, I'm normally a front-end person. Okay. So we've installed that, so here, I'm going to import script tag. Okay. Defined but never used, that's fine. Because now if we take this tag and we put it here, okay, path float resource, that path is going to be here, copy relative path, theoretically, that should be what we need. So now that's, okay. So now what we do is we run this code that they were talking about over here. Oop, we haven't actually imported Firebase. You know what, we're just gonna, okay, we're gonna take this and we're gonna paste it here. Okay, there we go. Now books ref, we're going to take this app, we're going to remove everything, and we're just going to add a typography. And we're going to import that. Import, what was it? I had it up here somewhere. It was the Material UI React. We want to import this. Material UI core. I normally write in TypeScript, but I'm using JavaScript for this. Import typography from, there we go, okay. So now you have typography, and we're just gonna put books ref in there. We're just gonna do an npm run start, and we're gonna see what happens. Hoo hoo. Hoo hoo hoo. Wait, how does this not have a package.json? Wait. I might have screwed things up by... I need to cd one more into Firestore test, and then npm run start. There we go. Starting the development server. We might be jumping the gun here. This might not work. I probably should have just followed the tutorial, but I was excited and I wanted to get something showing on our app. Okay. Does not contain default export. Okay, you know what I said about using Material UI? If you want to learn TypeScript and do React in TypeScript, do it, because TypeScript makes it so easy to use that everything about it. In this instance, I'm not writing this in TypeScript because I wanted to make following a tutorial easier because I'm not the best at TypeScript. So we're not going to use that, and we're just going to be boring, and this is going to look bad, but that's not the point. Okay. We're going to paste this. Woohoo! So this didn't work. And you know what we're going to do? We're just going to ignore what the tutorial was telling us, and we're going to cut this, and we're going to paste it there. And hopefully, this now does what we're looking for. Woohoo! Objects are not valid as React child. Oh. Okay, so I just jumped the gun. We'll need to use the .get. Okay. This is what a full query... Oh, so we did a very impartial query, and I went, let's display it. Okay. We can backspace out of that. The good news is we have a framework now to display the data once we get it. Okay. Getting data from a collection with .get. To get access, Firestore use all methods it provides. We've already been here. Okay. To get all of the document data from a collection, we chain on the .get method. .get returns a promise. I'll be honest, very scary. I know promises exist, have not used them much, which we can resolve using either a .then callback or we use the async await syntax. We're just going to use .then. Once our promise is resolved one way or another, we get back what's known as a snapshot. For a collection query, that snapshot is going to consist of a number of individual documents. We can access them by saying snapshot.docs. From each document, we can get the ID as a separate property, and this is the data using the .data method. So, okay. So we take booksref.then, which is resolving the promise, and then we get a snapshot, which the data is taking a map over the doc. Ooh, I don't remember that syntax. So this is too much for me. I'm so bad at programming. When I see someone who knows what they're doing, it makes me so scared. And asterisk, 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 I can't see what you said there. But I'm assuming that that was in some way, shape, or form related to scared. And I'd like to point out that I have been doing hackathons for 3 years, and I've participated in over 30 of them. And this is me, and you've seen me fail so many times. Like, I'm honestly flattered that you considered me someone who knows what they're doing, because I have no idea what I'm doing. You'll notice if you look at my tabs that I have 1 tutorial, 2 tutorial, this is the documentation, 2 tutorial, 3 tutorial, 4 tutorial, 5 tutorial, 6th tutorial, somewhere in there that I closed. All I have been doing is looking at tutorials constantly. I know so bare minimum of this. Basically, I just know the things to Google. So I understand, yes, it can be very scary. I would like to point out that this is not me having experience or knowing what I'm doing. This is me diving headfirst into this going, so I've touched this once before, and I think I know that I need to Google Firestore. And that's how I got to this tutorial, and from there I've just been kind of following what it said. Now I will be honest, this tutorial did kind of suck because it didn't walk you through creating a React app, but that was something that I'd done in the past before I'd gotten to this point. Legitimately, you'll remember that earlier I mentioned Figma and Adobe XD. Adobe XD is great if you already have the Adobe suite, but if you don't, just pay attention to what I'm talking about with Figma. Because what they are is they are software suites that allow you to do UI design and not much more than that, but you can create mock-ups of apps that you can click on the buttons and it can send you to different pages, and you can scroll through things and you can show fake maps, and it's a really powerful suite of tools, not because it allows you to program a lot, but because it allows you to scaffold out a lot of what you want to make. And from there you can use the designs that you create in your apps. But if you are overwhelmed and scared at coding, I would recommend go to a hackathon and create something in Figma, because for all intents and purposes, it's an art tool, but it gets you into the mindset of what can I create, what would be interesting, what's a problem that I want to solve, without you needing to worry about the lines of code in the dark background that you currently see up on screen. So if I have it on my computer, yeah, Figma. It's a free app that you can get, especially if you're a student. They have a really good free trial program. And if I can still open, let me log in, and I want to show you. I know that I'm going completely off track for a second, but I think that this fits very much with the whole point of this, which is trying technologies that scare you. That browser's not loading, so I'm just going to open up Figma here. You don't need to start with this. If this scares you, don't start with this. Start with something simpler. I'm going to stop my screen share while I log into this so I don't dox myself. Okay, now I can share my screen again because I'm logged in. Okay, so here you'll notice that I have a ton of Figma projects. I actually started this for an independent contract job that I had with a local business, but I used it at a hackathon, and I just did this at the beginning, and we didn't end up actually using this for the hackathon. But if I options, scale down fit, here we go. We can see that I have this app with a map on it that I can scroll around, that's running on a fake phone, that if I click this filter button, I have options for filtering. I can go over here to start, and I can see different reviews for businesses. And if I go over here, I have the options to add a location and go into user settings. And this isn't even the best one that I have. I go back, I should have an older one. Max capacity. This one I made a full-fledged mock-up of the app that it was originally called Max Capacity, but then it was Crowd Scout, and we ended up actually coding the app. This wasn't used, but it was an app that had a map that you could scroll around, and then you could search, and I believe, yeah, I simulated typing, and then you could go through and you could click on one of the results, and you'd go there on the map, and you could see how many people are in the store. You could click the buttons, and you can type in the results, and you can hit submit, and things will change. And I did all of this without writing a single line of code. I have just made, and I'm showing you right now, a demo of an app that has no code in it. What it looks like is, if I open it up, here we go. It looks like this, where we have my intro slide, and then we have these different screens and pop-ups that are just laid out graphically. And with just these components right here, and I learned Figma at 3 a.m. again for a job that I had, but I learned it at 3 a.m. looking at some tutorials. They have a really nice video tutorial series, and you're able to create things like this without any code. And no, it's not functional, and some people will try to gatekeep and say that this isn't a real app or isn't a real hackathon project, but this is UI design. This is a literal entire field that is just dealing with this UI design. And literally, it shows up over top. The little logo screen that shows when it's loading, it isn't actually loading. I just did that to be fake to make it look better. It just takes a second, it just waits a second there, and then it opens up like a true transition. Like, all of this is faked, done in Figma, like, just looks good. So I know that was kind of a long, winding road to get to the point, but you don't need to know how to code. If this scares you, one, just go for it. Like, the worst thing that can happen is you write terrible buggy code. And if you want to see someone writing terrible buggy code, go back to like Monday of this week for my first live stream. I was trying to create a reminder application, never got it to run. Literally never got it to run the entire stream. And that's perfectly fine. The whole goal is to try experimenting with things, to learn and create. But if code scares you, you don't need to write code in order to participate in a hackathon. Okay, with that in mind, and all that said, let's go back to the tutorial, because we are writing code right now, and we're just going to copy this wholesale to here. So this right here is a very good piece of code in that I recognize a lot of it from like learning JavaScript, but I don't remember what it does anymore, specifically the map and this 3 dots. I know I've seen it a lot of places. I know that it's like super really good. No, you don't need to apologize. Yes, it was an interruption, but it was a very good one. Like, I strongly believe that hackathons are a very inclusive space, no matter what your skill level is, no matter what you feel comfortable with, and I will do anything that I can to make sure that more people can participate in it. Because literally, I went to my first hackathon thinking that I knew how to program, and that's when my eyes were first opened of, oh, there's so much more to this than I ever imagined. And it was that experience of discovery that was so enlightening for me, and it's why I'm here doing what I'm doing right now. So I'm always happy to help get people into hackathons and make sure that they feel comfortable in the space. So if you ever need anything, at me on the MLH Discord server, and I'm happy to help. Okay, where were we? Okay, books ref. So breaking down what's happening is we're taking Firebase, we're saying, hey, we'd like to talk to you, and we're getting the collection books. Then from books, we're getting, and then we get a snapshot, and that snapshot we're doing a .map on, which iterates through it and returns data in the form of an array, which is all data in books collection data. So it's in this const data. So I think we can do this. Data is not defined. Do we have, where's data? Wait. Doc.data is being, okay, this is the const right there, data. We want to return data, I believe. Data is not defined. How is it not defined? It's defined right there. Okay, wait. This is where we're going to first look at the tutorial. Because the issue is, I don't think we can see that console log. If we save and we restart this and we see if it loads, we might be able to see that console log. Console. Hey, we can. Okay. Perfect. Okay, I thought for a second we wouldn't be able to see that console log without it actually showing up on the page, but it's not, so we can see that we're getting an array with the ID and that title. Perfect. That is exactly what we put in there in the first place. So we've added data to the database through their portal here. No. Here, somewhere. Here. And then we can now actually see it in our app. So I'm going to clean up all of the myriad of tabs that we have by closing all the tabs to the right of that. Okay. So we can see that we're getting it in the console over here. Let's see what we're doing next. So subscribing to a collection with onSnapshot. So the .get method simply returns all the data within our collection. To leverage, oh, I know what we need to do. I'm going to do this really quickly. I'm going to create a variable that is const data book data equals react.useState, and then in here, React is not defined? How is React not defined, but it gave us autocomplete? I'm so used to TypeScript. Wait. Use state React. Ooh, okay, it's just set differently. Okay. What we were supposed to do is this. But we want it to be book data set book data and then use state. Quick fix. How is use state not defined? Wait, what? Okay, you know what? For now, we're just going to deal with everything in, like, the most basic of command prompt, and we're not going to deal with anything more than that. So I'm using my phone to see chat, because I only have one screen on my laptop. So I'm just going to plug in my phone, because it's now at 3% battery. So give me a second. Hey, there we go. My phone's now not going to die, so I can still see chat, which is wonderful. Okay. We need to import React. I thought React would be already imported. It would make sense. But there we go. Okay. So now, in here, wait, we need to define this beforehand. So we're just going to move this up. In here, we're going to say set book data to data. And then this is going to be book data. Compiled successfully. Woohoo! Objects are not valid as React children. Objects aren't valid as React children? Interesting. Okay. Well, we're gonna do some... Wait. Okay. What does it look like? So we're gonna iterate over data. So I could use a map, but I don't feel comfortable enough for that. So we're just gonna do a for loop here. So for each book in data, right? For string, for let each book, because we aren't in a typed language, for let each book in data, we're going to create an array. Let book list equal, it's going to be an empty array. We're going to iterate over that, and book list dot add push each book, and then we're going to set that to book list. So what we're just doing is we're converting it from a map or an object to a list, if I wrote my code correctly. Objects are not... Fine. We'll be all fancy with it and do a dot map. This is literally just so we get a prettier render, because I'm looking for a pretty render. Data. Get rid of those. And it's going to be... Ooh, book data.map is not a function. JavaScript array map method. Okay. Numbers.map. Returns a new array. Bookdata.map. We're passing in data. And we're going to return data. Save. This is why I like writing a TypeScript, because this is a type issue. Ooh, hot, the ticker's no longer running. Okay. That might help. The ticker looks like it's running on my screen, but where I'm looking at stream, it doesn't look like it's running there. So we'll see. Okay. You know what? I'm going to ignore this again. I really want it to look pretty. I just really want it to look pretty, you know? Is that too much to ask? Okay, wait. I'm just going to Google display an array in React. Render arrays in React. Okay. Reptiles.map. But instead of reptiles, we want book data. Oh, we want book list. No, book data. That's where our issue is coming from. Okay. Now if we save. There we go. Ooh. We do have an infinite loop happening though. Ooh, something has gone horribly wrong. Something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. What did I do? Ah, it's this. Ooh hoo hoo. So, as an explanation of what just happened to cause this infinite state loop here, it's constantly reading from Firebase because I had in there a set state, which I thought, ooh, that's really smart because it makes sure that when the book data updates, the UI updates. But that also means that it refreshes this UI element every time that it sets it. So, okay, again, I've said this a bunch of times. We're just gonna casually get rid of all of this. And I'm just gonna put a H1 that says, make pretty later. Look at the console to see what's happening. Because I feel like I've spent a lot of time on trying to get that to be pretty. But I've quite clearly not understood enough to be able to get to that point. Okay, so subscribing to a collection with onSnapshot. The get method simply returns all the data within our collection. To leverage some of Firestore's real-time capabilities, we can subscribe to a collection, which gives us the current value of the documents in that collection whenever they are updated. So instead of using .get, we use onSnapshot. So Firestore collection onSnapshot. I'm gonna get some water while I read this. I have sparkly water because I'm fancy. So, okay. Instead of .get, we use onSnapshot. Which... Wait. Ah... We're doing method chaining. Okay. I was confused for a second because this was less complicated than what we were looking at before. In the code above, we're using what's called method chaining instead of creating a separate variable to reference the collection. What's powerful about using Firestore is that we can chain a bunch of methods one after another, making for more declarative, readable code. So Firestore, we get a collection, then onSnapshot. We're going to take the data, snapshot docs, we're going to map it, doc ID, doc data, and then we're going to log it. Okay. What's powerful about using a Firestore so we can chain? Okay. Within onSnapshot's callback, we get direct access to the snapshot of our collection, both now and whenever it's updated in the future. Try manually updating our collection, and you'll see that onSnapshot is listening for any changes in the collection. Okay, so we're going to copy this, because this is really what we were looking for. We're going to save it. And if we look at our React app, we get all the data in the books collection. And now if we add something else to it, so add a document, and it's going to be title, and that value is Harry Potter and the room of chamber, and the chamber of Blahaj. Chamber of Blahaj. We're going to save. And now if we go back to the React app, aha! Well, that's updated by itself. That is super, super cool that we don't need to update it. Okay, So it's just changing .get to not on snapshot, and now we have a real-time database. That's incredibly cool. I'm nerding out. Okay. In the code above, we're using what's known as method chaining. We've already covered that. Okay. The difference between .get and snapshot is that get returns a promise, which needs to be resolved, and only then we get the snapshot data. On snapshot utilizes synchronous callback functions, which give us direct access to the snapshot. It's important to keep in mind when you use these different, we need to know which of them returns a promise and which of them are synchronous. Okay. Ooh, we need to unsubscribe from on snapshot. Okay. It returns a function which we can use to unsubscribe and stop listening in on a given collection. This is important in cases where the user, for example, goes away from a given page where we're displaying collections data. Here's an example using the library React. Okay. So we're using use effect and unsubscribing from Firebase. Oh! Wait, we've now wrapped it. Okay, wait. I would like to point out, for the official record in chat, that they are using state right here. I was just doing it wrong. I had the right idea, I was just doing it wrong. So return books.map. Yeah, wait, how is it? Okay, if I copy this, theoretically, I can do this. Theoretically, I said. Book list is not defined. Ah. They had a custom... This is your hourly smile from Adam comment alert. Hi Adam, thank you for the smiles. Okay, so they had a component that was book list that takes in the book ID and the book. But instead of doing that, instead of doing that, we're just going to be dirty and lazy and awful. And we're just going to make a div. And inside that div, we're going to do one paragraph that is book.id, right? That's what it was, book ID. And what was the second one? Book. I don't recommend writing code this bad, but we're just trying to test it. Objects are not valid as React children. Ah! Okay, what if I get rid of this? Oh! I just need to do .title. And if I save... Haha! Ha 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 ha! Haha! Sorry if my audio just spiked, but we are finally successful in actually getting our things to show up on our screen. So wait. Now, we can close out of this because it's showing on our screen. And we can add, what's the third one? Prisoner of Azkaban? Auto ID, title, Harry Potter and the Blahage of Azkaban. And you will notice that as soon as we add that, it updates automatically in our React app over to the right. This is so awesome. I can't say that I'm like super shocked that it's doing this, but oh my goodness, it actually works. This is what we were trying to do, and we are successful. And we still have 40 minutes to go to keep working on this. So maybe, if we're lucky, we can get to writing to the database from the UI so we don't need to be doing it from here. Let's try this. Okay. So this is getting the collection books. Okay, so we can get individual documents. Woohoo, indeed! We can get individual documents with .doc. When it comes to getting a document within a collection, the process is just the same as getting an entire collection. We need to first create a reference to that document, and then we use the get method to grab it. After that, however, we use the .doc method chained onto the collection method. In order to create a reference, we need to grab this ID from the database if it was auto-generated. After that, we can chain on .get and resolve the promise. Okay. So the issue is they know that This hasn't answered the question of how we get that doc, but we'll see. Because the example code takes bookRef from the Firebase, it takes the collection books, and it gives it a specific doc. But bookRef.get then, yeah, we're resolving that promise, but that's not, we want to use onPromise because the thing that I'm geeking out about is the fact that it updates in real time, which this doesn't do. Okay? Adding document to a collection with .add. Okay, well, it's not going to answer that question for me, but we'll eventually get there. Adding a document to a collection with .add. Let's move on to changing data. The easiest way to add a new document to a collection is with the .add method. All you need to do is select a collection reference with .collection and chain on .add. Going back to our definition of documents being like JavaScript objects, we need to pass an object to the .add method and specify all the fields we want to be in the document. Let's say we want to add another book of Mice and Men. That's a boring book. That's a really boring book. It should be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Blahage. Firebase.firestore.collection.add title.then. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna be stupid and foolish, and again try running ahead, running before I can walk, and we're gonna try div I'm going to try returning, and we're going to add a button. We're going to add a spot where people can add text and a button. So, create a form, React. This is, I think it was it Blue Moon? Yes, it was Blue Moon who was asking about React. I am now like revealing my secret that I literally don't know what I'm doing in React anymore because I haven't used it in forever, so I just Google everything that I need and then I look at other people's stuff. Okay. Okay, so we need a handler. So class name form extends React component. So we have a couple functions. We have handle change, handle submit. We're going to copy both of those, and we're going to paste them blindly. Ooh, wait, no. Wait, what are they actually doing here? They're making this more complicated than it has to be for this bad project that we're working on here. You know, okay, to make this, we don't know how to edit, we aren't currently knowing how to add. Okay, let's go back to that previous tutorial, which is on React itself, and we're going to try dealing with this. We're going to copy this, and we're going to blindly add this after our Firebase code. You know, let's just add let's keep reading the tutorial and we'll see where they go with it. Okay. Adding documents to a collection with .add. So the easiest way to add a new document to a collection is with the .add method. All you need to do is select a collection reference with .collection and chain on .add. So firestore.collection books .add, and then the title of mice and men. Okay. The .add method returns a promise, and from this resolve promise we get back a reference to the created document, which gives us information such as the created ID. The .add method auto-generates an ID for us. Note we can't use this ref directly to get data, but we can pass this ref to the doc method that we talked about earlier to create another query. Okay, that makes sense. Adding a document to a collection with .set. Where set we add our own ID, okay. So set doc set, okay. Okay. Additionally, when we use .set with an existing document, it will by default overwrite that document. Ah, okay, so that's how we change things. If we want to merge an old document with a new document instead of overwriting it, we need to pass an additional argument to .set and provide the property merge set to true. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to try getting daring, and we're going to create a new collection, and this one's going to be called number. And document is going to be counter, and it's going to be of type number, and it's going to be the field counter count, and the value is going to be 0, and we're going to hit save. So now if we go back here, count, set count, and it is just a number. Firestore collection counter on snapshot, and then it's going to be snapshot.doc. Wait. How do we get a specific document again? Scroll up. Getting individual documents with .doc. Okay. Collection .doc. And we know that the document is counter. What was it? The collection is number. Collection is number, and that's counter, because that's not at all confusing. And then on snapshot, snapshot dot what was this before? It was snapshot.docs. So theoretically, it would be snapshot dot. Well, okay, let's just get rid of this. And we're just gonna console.log snapshot and see what it is. Okay. So now if we look here, where's our, there, it's here. Okay, let's bring this back over here. It is ooh, not fun. Okay. Pull data from a snapshot Firebase. This is in Java. We're looking for node. Return ref snapshot.val. Gonna try that. Snapshot.val. Let's see what it does. Ooh, snapshot.val is not a function. Thank you, Tiff. I'm doing an awesome job at learning and experimenting with something that I feel unfamiliar with. In terms of doing an awesome job of writing clean, polished code, by no means. But we're learning, and that is the whole point of this. We're trying a technology that has intimidated us. Again, hackp.ac/scarewe-tech. Cat. So they didn't show. What did they show? Snapshot.docs. Cat, wait. Firebase snapshot. And we're just gonna see. Properties key and ref. This isn't super useful. Snapshot var snapshot.key. You get to slowly watch as my brain melts into pudding as I stare at this. Because this looks very different from what we were working with before, and I don't know if that's because this is actually using like real proper JavaScript, or if it's because they're doing something very different. Let's try that. Hey, that worked. Okay. So then what we can do is if we make this count const, right? We use a const, right? Data equals snapshot.data. And what we do from there is we're going to set count data, which is similar to what I did before, but not exactly. Okay, now we're going to make sure that our React app is still loading. Count dot data dot count. And if we tried that this time, there we go, now it's showing 0. What does snapshot.data returns? Snapshot.data returns, if we look here, it shows count colon then 0. So it shows, because in this case we've specified that we're in this collection number and we're looking at the document counter. .data refers to all of the information within that document. So in this case it is just the field count and 0. So snapshot.data, if we were to be looking at something larger, in this case if we were looking at an entire collection, it would probably contain docs and then inside of those docs fields. But in this case, because we specified the doc that we're looking at, it just contains the fields within that, which is count and the number. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is now we add a button. I know how to do this in... I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. I can try going into more depth for what snapshot.data means. Okay. Material UI React. How do I import this? I need to put it in brackets. I always forget to do that. Okay. This is what we're looking for. So now, if I do this button, right? I need to wrap this in a div, because you can only have one element being returned. There we go. Perfect, I'm glad that helped. I love how I didn't configure any auto formatting on this, so it looks so terrible, bordering on unreadable. There we go, it's cleaning up. Okay, so now that button has an on click that is going to equal increment, which means we need to create a function right? Let's just make it an arrow function, because that's increment equals const increment. There we go. Okay. This is where we're going to be using the code that they give us, not for .doc, not for .add, but for .set. We're going to be using this, so it's going to be this. Yes, okay. So the collection is number, doc is counter. We're going to be setting, the title is, no, it's count to Okay, we're going to be setting it to count plus 1. Actually, we're going to do this. Let plus count equals count plus 1. And we're going to use plus count here because I don't want to mess with state stuff. Okay. Okay, so now theoretically, press me. If we open this up and refresh the page, wherever I left it, okay, if we refresh the page, there's a button, press me. And if we click it, hey, look at that. When we click it, it is incrementing the number that is showing. So we are reading real time from the database and we are writing real time from the database. This is incredibly cool. And it's working. So I've now gone off of the tutorial and I've written my own code and it worked this time, which, if you guys have seen my previous attempts on this stream, have not always gone this well. So this is messy. This is really ugly. I have my API keys in my app.js, but I have a button that I can click to increase the value in a stored database. If we look here, count is listed as 40. We can see that that count has increased by actually interacting with our web app. So we are now pushing to the database and pulling from the database, or I guess putting and getting. That is incredibly cool. Okay. Let's keep scrolling and see what else they're going to teach us. Adding to a document with .set. Updating existing data with .update. Well, I guess we should have scrolled down a little farther. When it comes to updating data, we use the update data method like .add or .set. What's helpful is that using .update, unlike .set, it won't overwrite the entire document. But we need to, okay. Okay, so we're just going to replace our .set with .update. And it's going to be count. And it's going to be 0. And we're going to try this. No, we don't want it to be 0. We want it to be plus count. Now if we go back here and we refresh. Hey, look at that. It's working. It's working. Insert a GIF of Anakin saying that. Perfect. Okay, now we're updating. We're not doing it the correct way. We're still writing awful code, but it's at least the right way. We can delete a given document collection by referencing it by its ID and executing the .delete method. Simple as that. It also returns a promise. Okay. Note that the official Firestore documentation does not recommend to delete entire collections, only individual documents. And then working with sub-collections. Let's say that we made a misstep in creating our application, and instead of just adding books, we also want to connect them to the users that made them. T-pose, T. The way we want to restructure the data is by making a collection called users in the root of our database, and have books be a sub-collection of users. This will allow users to have their own collections of books. So how do we set that up? References would be collection users with documents, user ID with collections of books. Ooh, so we can subnest collections inside documents, inside collections, back and forth to get sub-nesting. Okay, I really like that. That makes sense. I don't know how it would work if it didn't have that, but that's really cool. Now, additionally, we can write all of this with a single .collection call using forward slashes. Oh, so we can reference that as collection users ID books. Okay. The above code is the equivalent where the collection reference must have an odd number of segments. If not, Firebase will throw an error. To create the subcollection itself with one document, another Steinbeck novel, East of Eden. They're choosing boring books. They're choosing very boring books. Run the following. Firebase.firestore.collection.add East of Eden. Okay. Then, getting that newly created subcollection would look the following based off a user's ID. So Firestore collection.get, then So it looks like it's doing the exact same thing that it did before. Ah, it's because we have the user ID there. Okay. Useful methods for Firestore fields. There's some useful tools that we can grab from Firestore that enable us to work with our field values a little bit easier. For example, we can generate a timestamp whenever a given document is created or updated with the following helper from the field value property. And we can, of course, create our own date values using JavaScript. Using a server timestamp lets us know exactly when data is changed or created from Firestore itself. Okay, that's convenient. So firebase.firestore.collection. Okay, so we're setting the field created to the value of Firebase Firestore field value server timestamp. Okay, that's really nice. Additionally, say we have a field on a document which keeps track of a certain number, say the number of books the user has created. Hey! Oh my goodness. There's literally a helper value called .increment. So if we can replace all of my shoddy code, is that within a .update? It's within a .set. We'll try this in a .update. Instead of my shoddy code, we can do update, and we can do this, and we can get rid of plus count altogether. And if we save, and go back to here, that works too. And now it's incrementing on the database side rather than this side. That's very convenient. That is very convenient. Okay. So querying with .where. What if we want to get our data from collections based on certain conditions? For example, say we want to get all the users that have submitted one or more books. We can write such a query with the help of the .where method. First we reference a collection, then chain on .where. Oh, so this is where we can basically search for specific things. So where the user ID equals whatever, or where the count number of books is greater than 5. So we can write queries using where. The where method takes 3 arguments. First, the field we're searching, an operator, and then the value for which we want to filter. Okay, so it would be .where count is equal to 5, and then so to fetch all, we use the following query. So firestore.collection users where count is greater than 1. Ah, we're doing that in the collection of users. So then we're getting all of the documents that have users, and inside of there, we're instantiating out the query. Interesting. Ooh, and you can chain on multiple .where methods to create compound queries. That is really cool. I really like that. Okay. And then limiting and ordering queries. Another method for effectively querying our collections is to limit them. Let's say we want to limit a given query to a certain amount of documents. If we only want to return a few items from our query, we just need to add on the .limit method after a given reference. If you wanted to do that through a query for fetching users that have submitted at least one book, it would look like the following. Const user's reference equals Firebase. Oh, okay. So we create the query, and then we just add on .limit 3. I really like that. That's really simple. Another powerful feature is to order our query data according to document field by order by. If we want to order our created users by when they were first made, we can use the order by method with the created field. Okay, that's the one that we were creating earlier with the server timestamp as the first argument. For the second argument, we specify whether it should be in ascending or descending order. So users, the more that we're getting into this, I really like this, especially coming from my only exposure to databases has been with SQL. This is much easier to wrap your head around because you just add another dot onto the end of it. So .firestore.collection users where order by. And then we can even add a limit onto the end of that. That's really convenient. So we can chain order by limit. Limit should be called last. Okay. And then there's a cheat sheet that you can get with your email. This has been an extraordinarily useful tutorial. And we've created basically 2 apps at different points of this. One was an app that would show real time on the screen the book names that we added to the database. And then the second one is one that updates numbers and increments based on pressing a button all in real time, which is incredibly cool. I'm very happy with the progress that we've made. Okay, well with that, I'm going to take a look 1 second. I'm going to add this to my GitHub. I'm going to make sure I'm logged in so I don't dox myself, and then I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So I'm going to create a new repository, and that repository name is going to be Firebase Testing. We're going to make it public. We're going to create that repo. We're really zoomed in. There we go. Okay. We have theoretically a Git repo here. Ooh. You know, I thought, I didn't set this up well. Okay. Well, I thought I was going to push this on Git on stream, but I'm not going to be doing that because I don't know my Git setup well enough. Let me know in chat right now if you guys want me to post this to Git. There's not a whole lot of code here. It is very little code. If you want me to post this on Git so I can drop it in the Discord for you guys, just let me know in chat. But with that, we've gone through the entire tutorial. We've created 2 really successful apps that do everything that we want them to do. I think that is the epitome of success. We've tried a technology that was really intimidating before, and I think I have the handle on the basics of Firestore, which is incredibly cool and incredibly useful, because I'll be able to use that in any future projects that I create using Flutter or React or really any of the frameworks, because it just acts as a server-side language and a server-side system that I can tap into. So I think we've reached a perfect stopping point. So thank you guys so much for coming and joining me as we tried a technology we were intimidated by. I think it was really cool, and I hope you learned something from it, even if it was just you don't need to know how to code to participate in a hackathon. So again, thank you guys so much. Let me know in chat if you'd like me to post that to GitHub. But with that, have an amazing night, and we're going to sign off for now. Bye.